Pageant patrons, what's up? This is Isaac, and yes, it has been a minute since I put out a video. Had some online classes that I had to get done. If you really want to know, hit me up in the comments. March is Women's History Month, and I wanted to do a reaction video to the Miss Universe Philippines Herstory video that they produced. I've got to give them credit. The video was very well done, but I really enjoyed seeing a little bit more in depth about each candidate. Going through, kind of wrote some notes of the stories I particularly cared for. So I'll just tell you which ones that I particularly liked. And at the end, you can kind of tell me which ones you liked. I would love to hear that. Also wait till the end and I'll let you know which one I found very interesting. I didn't really do a ranking system. Since I watched it from beginning to end, it was in alphabetical order, and it just so happens my list is in alphabetical order of the ones that I liked. So let's just start with VVV, Miss Bakur, and as it turns out, she was kidnapped. I'm sure that there's more to that particular story, but to know that you were kidnapped, it would be interesting if I got the opportunity to talk with her. How did that impact her as she went through her life? There's always more to the story. Those little 2-minute clips, you can't get everything, but they do try to highlight maybe an interesting fact about each candidate. And again, I found that very interesting. Miss Baguio Terra Valencia has a very interesting story. She lost her papa, and I think anybody can relate to losing someone very close to them. And so what she did, she makes this comment. She says, you have to find the light. And even through the darkness of death, she was able to do that. And so I just want to say kudos to her. Naturally, sorry, to anyone that has lost someone so close to them. But she has managed to do just this wonderful job to overcome that. And, that is going to be a great story for anyone to listen to. The next person is she really wasn't on my list, but it's Miss Bohol, Bianca Gaviola, and I simply liked her story. She was raised by a single mom, and she is very creative, and I think they showed some of her paintings, and if I remember correctly, and I just think that it is a wonderful story of how someone can just overcome. Some would see that as a deficiency, being raised by a single mom, but single parents in general are doing a great job, and she is just an example of that. So I just want to say kudos to her, and I just liked her story. Chelsea Manalo is an absolutely gorgeous woman of color, Miss Bulacan, and just to hear her story about how she was bullied, it is always interesting to me because I'm here in the States. It's always interesting to hear how people of color fared in different parts of the world. And just to see her, she just has this wonderful spirit. And she, I've said it before, she just has this wonderful, just absolutely flawless skin. She is gorgeous, she is intelligent, and it is finally so nice to hear her story. So I just want to say, just a wonderful story of being able to overcome. Being a former correctional officer, I found Stacey Gabriel's story very interesting because her grandmother got her into going into the prisons, and so to help all of these ladies, and so to see someone of her caliber on the inside of a prison. It was, I have to say, it was fun to see the interaction with those ladies, but even more, it's very surprising. Why would someone like her, Stacey Gabriel, interact with a bunch of criminals? But it also reminds us that it doesn't matter. They are still people too, and the fact that she would go in, her grandmother got her into that, and so it's wonderful to see her continue that tradition and to honor her grandmother. If you want to be reminded that age ain't nothing but a number, then you need to look at the Davao region representative, none other than Miss Joanna Puyod Yulo, who is, as she says, she's the oldest contestant. Since Miss Universe has gotten rid of the age restriction, she can certainly compete. And I have to tell you that I think if women want to be reminded that age ain't nothing but a number and it's all in your head, keep yourself, you can still be gorgeous at any age. And in this case, you can actually compete. So I just want to say kudos to her for having the courage to even attempt to do that. She was certainly not on my radar. But to hear her story about how she was involved in domestic abuse and she overcame that, and I think she's a single parent. Let me check my notes here. Yeah, she's a single mom. She has a couple of things going on there that most women can relate to, being a single mom, you know, sadly being involved in domestic abuse, and all of us can, you know, relate to the fact that we're all getting older. So I want to say kudos to her for having the courage to enter Miss Universe Philippines. Representing the Filipino community in Hawaii is Patricia Bianca Tapia, and she is hearing impaired. And talk about being able to overcome, I mean, that's one of your 5 senses, and still being able to do as much as she is able to do. My hats are off to her for not letting that stop her. What a great inspirational story. And if I'm not mistaken, she is advocating for special needs classrooms. And so, you know, to see her interact with the students, yes, I know it was all planned out, of course, but it is always nice to see a community that doesn't get that kind of recognition, kind of like what Michelle D did last year. It is just good to see that she's bringing that to the forefront, that says, you know, we're not invisible, we are people too, and we can compete with anybody. Just make things, you know, put us on an equal field. And that's what the education does. You know, it gives them the tools to say, you know, to compete with, and I don't even like to call it a disability, but you know, but that being hearing impaired or whatever the disability is, that, you know, people can still function in society and they should not be marginalized. What a fantastic, what a great story. Love this story. If you want to be reminded that sometimes you have to run for your life, I would tell anyone to look at the story of Miss Iloilo, Alexi Brooks. She tells this story of how she got into running, you know, running from the discrimination of the other kids around her. And what a great story, because she found something that she could put all of that energy into. Someone saw that, and then that sort of propelled her to other opportunities. I just think that that's a great story. I think I liked her first because when she won her crown, she gave all the credit to her grandmother. And maybe I'm a sucker for older people, but I think sometimes we disrespect our older people, our senior citizens. And so, but to see her give that credit to her grandmother, absolutely love this story. And I would just tell anyone, if you want to run for your life, look at her story and see what she's done and what she has accomplished. Congrats to her. It is so nice to see a woman flourish and be successful in a male-dominated occupation. Mary Rose Goodall is a mechanical engineer, and as we all know, that does tend to be a male-dominated occupation. It also reminds us that we need to push women in what we call STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It is, you know, like I said, a male-dominated field, but I think women need to be encouraged to pursue those occupations as well, and to see how well she's doing. I love this story, and I did look at her whole story, but that little takeaway right there, it is so important in today's society, because we have to remind women that just because you are a woman, you are not inferior. You are just as smart. You're sexier than most men. Sorry, had to throw that in. But more importantly, you are just as smart, and you can do those occupations in science, technology, engineering, and math. Sorry about that. And so this, I wish more women could see this story, so that they can inspire, so she can inspire them to go into that arena. The representative from Northern California, Kayla Jean Carter, she has this disease. I don't want to mess it up. Von Will, I don't want to say it. I was going to try to, but I do not want to mess it up. But I also don't want to slight the fact that she has this disease, and she had to overcome that. and also being biracial. She is half Asian. And so being able to overcome those, that's always an inspiring story to to be able to peer into someone's past, to see the trauma that they have overcome, and to see how well that they have adjusted and how well they are doing today. And when you look at her, she's very, very pretty. And so she simply reminds us that the scars that someone has doesn't always show on the outside. Sometimes they're emotional. With her, handling her disease and also handling the bullying that she received. I think, but still be as gorgeous as she is on the outside. You just never really know someone's struggle. And that's the takeaway that I took from her story. Talk about someone having this wonderful joy for life, and that is Pacadian City, Hershey Made Senate. And I tell you what, when I was watching, I was like, oh yeah, she looks like she's a lot of fun. And so, she had the pictures going, and then, you saw those few seconds of her when she said that she had epilepsy, but to be able to rebound and to do what she's able to do and still have this zest for life, it is so refreshing to see. I absolutely loved this story. She obviously has, trouble with her epilepsy, but she has not let that stop her from doing what she wants to do. And it is a pleasant and fun reminder of how you have got to overcome whatever it is, whatever hand that you are dealt with in life. You've got to overcome that. I particularly love the joy that she has about her life. So great story. Someone who has been on my radar from the beginning and just has this poise and grace that I absolutely, positively just cannot get over, and that is Lorraine Ojimba. Even though she did her video in Tagalog, she said a few things that I absolutely wish that other women could hear. She simply says, go fight for it. And as you well know, that is just a wonderful mantra to have. But this one is probably even more important. She says, women should never be dictated or limited by society's standards. Love that phrase. To me, and this is just my personal opinion, right now there is an assault on women. You can agree with it or not. I think that there's an assault on women. I'm talking about natural born women. I'm not talking about women that have transitioned. There is an assault on what femininity is, and we can disagree on that, and I'm okay with that. But what I'm not going to disagree with is what she said. I think women need to go fight for it. They need to stay in the forefront and say, hey, we're not going to be limited by other people, trying to come in and limit what women are or try to change what women are. Women are fantastic the way that they were naturally made by God. And I just think when she says, go fight for it, I think that is a mantra for women, whether it is you want to fight in the political arena, if you want to fight some of these societal issues that surround women. I think it is very important that women realize that. And I just want to say kudos to Lorraine Ojimba for having that poise, for having that grace. And I certainly did enjoy her video. And to round out my top 13, that would be Atisa Manalo. And when she said that she won a pageant and she ended up getting free tuition, she reminds me of being able to take that one thing and really magnify that and become so good at it that it opens other opportunities for you. I tell you what, in pageantry for her, that's what it has done. It has opened up all of these doors for her. And I mean, you can, look at her story and read her story. And, but, coming from a humble background and finding something that you can really sort of just grab a hold and it helps you and it takes you places. I think that is something that any woman can be inspired to do. What is that one thing? What is that one thing that you do so well that you can sort of amplify it? You can magnified. You can become so great at it that that others have no choice but to look at you because you're so good at it. And I think in this particular case, I would have to say that Atisa Manalo, she embodies that. And I think as some of the other candidates have done, she gives thanks to her grandmother and her godfather because they paid for her tuition. And again, just wonderful, just being able to see what pageantry has done for her. It can be argued, we can argue about a whole lot of things about, oh, it's just a pageant. But for some people, and she's an example of that, she developed that knack for it, and she's so good at it, and it helped her to get to where she is today. And so I would just say that's a great story, because you want people to find something that they're very talented at, and even if it's just that one thing, you want to be so good at it that it opens up some other opportunities for you. So I again love the story. Now you may be asking which story that I find the most inspiring, and it's a difficult one for me because I enjoyed all of the stories. I am particularly looking at maybe someone that is not on my radar. Maybe that's not in my top 5 or 8, and and that story could still impact, because naturally, because I have my favorites, I tend to look at those, 5 to 10. Let's just say 5 to 10. And so I kind of wanted to back out and say, okay, which story did I enjoy the most that possibly wasn't my top favorites? And I would have to say, I'm going to have to give that to Pagadian City, Hershey May Senate. And I think it was just that zest that she seemed to have in her story, and about how she battled epilepsy. And, just wanted to wish her continued good health. But more importantly, it's simply a reminder of still just grabbing onto that zest and still having this positive outlook for life. So congratulations to her. Now, there is a story that I was sort of looking forward to when I started listening to this. I was looking forward to, and here's the one that I'm disappointed by the most, and it is Miss Tagi Christie McGarry. I didn't like the video. I didn't. It didn't really say what she overcame. Now, mind you, is she in my top 5? Yeah. So my hopes were high for, when I started listening, and I saw how impactful these stories were. But hers just came across, I didn't go the conventional route, and you don't have to go the conventional route. I'm older, and you don't have to go the conventional route either. I didn't find any inspiration in the story. And that's the one I'm saddened by the most, because she is older. And so I was like, yeah, she can really sort of, come with a good story, and it just wasn't there. And so that's why I was really saddened by that one. Maybe my expectations were too high. You can let me know. I'd love to hear what you guys think, because maybe my expectations were too high. I was expecting too much, but it kind of fell flat for me. So if you made it this far, I want to say thank you so much, and I really appreciate you watching. Always send me some comments. Let me know what you guys thought, and I really do appreciate it, and I appreciate all of the support. You guys take care. Peace.